All right, KC, thanks. Welcome to Austin, Texas, and we welcome you to the SEC on ESPN. This is a game with major postseason implications as two longtime Southwest Conference rivals meet as Southeastern Conference foes. It's Arkansas and Texas from the Moody Center in Austin, Texas. And an Arkansas team coming off of an emotional win against Kentucky. As they mentioned, Lunardi, as of today, has them among the next four out. Texas sitting there as a 9 seed. This is a double bubble contest. And Alyssa Lang, you're in Rupp Arena Saturday night. Maybe as electric as we've ever seen that building.
It was electric, Tom, and Coach Calipari knew what a win there could do for his team. He told them leading up to this game, this is the momentum we're looking for. We're so close to putting it together. What a place it would be to start stacking some wins if we can get that one at Rupp Arena. So they do. Fast forward to today and looking at that momentum now that they've created for themselves. Could there be an emotional hangover? I talked to Adu Thero today at practice. He said, I'm not worried about the emotions. It's been enough days. And now looking at our team, the intensity, the physicality, and the looseness in which we were able to play in that win against Kentucky, we're just excited to start playing the brand of basketball that we've known all season that we're capable of. If they could get another road win, Tom, you talked about what it could mean for the postseason too.
Yeah, this is a quad one opportunity for Arkansas. John Calipari's players told him, we got you, coach. We're going to win that one at Rupp. They did that. I guess the question, Seth mentioned how great the defense was. They shot the lights out. How did they do it, and how do they build on it?
Yeah, it was a collective effort. The guards shot it well from deep. The bigs shot it well as well. And before that Kentucky game, that was probably the least confident SEC offense. But after that game, let's see if it carries over, because they're going to need it if they want to make the NCAA tournament.
Well, speaking of playing with confidence, Texas has a one-and-done guard who's leading the SEC in scoring, trying to be the 6th freshman ever to do it. He can be unstoppable, and he's upped his game.
Yeah, this game is not about plays. It's about players who make plays. And Trey Johnson is the best player on the court at doing that. Off the bounce, contested shots, whether it's from deep, from mid-range, he's improved at getting himself to the rim. The freshman just continues to get better night in, night out in the most challenging league in the country.
He is fantastic. Only Kevin Durant has scored this many points as a freshman through 22 games in Texas basketball history. Longhorns have been great on their home court. They're 10-3 here at the Moody Center. They control the tip. Here's Arthur Kaluma. Be interesting to see what Texas can get done on the interior against this Arkansas front line featuring Zvonimir Ivisic, who was shooting the lights out at Rupp on Saturday night. Johnson, the skip pass to Arthur Kaluma, tries to shake, drives on Thero and wanted the lob. Shedrick with the turnaround jump hook. Ivisic with the rebound, and he got a shot to the face on the board. DJ Wagner was sensational in the second half against Kentucky. All 17 of his points came in the second half. And remember, if you haven't seen Arkansas much this year, and judging by a nice burst for Jordan Pope. How does losing Boogie Fland impact Arkansas as a team with the 5 on the floor?
Less guys deferring to a pick-and-roll ball handler. And I think guys are more aggressive, including Davis. His usage rate is down compared to last year, but it should go up now without Fland. But that guy right there, Wagner, he loves to get to that left hand. I've not seen a right-hand point guard use his left hand more and try to get to that left side of the rim.
Here's the starting 5 for Texas. They've rolled the same 5 out pretty much predominantly since Kendall Weaver went on the shelf with a hip injury. He practiced today, but is still a couple of weeks away from getting on the floor for the Longhorns. Kaluma with the drive and a reverse jam. Ooh, what a play by Arthur Kaluma.
Well, they want to try to get to the paint and impose their will, because Arkansas is thin there, and that is one way to send a message early. Arthur Kaluma, goodness.
That is the trade-off that John Calipari faces playing the 7'2" 5-man. Ivisic, who's a great three-point shooter. Here's Thero, and he lost it on his way in, guarded by Jordan Pope that time.
If you dunk on a 7-foot player, you say, I got me a footer. And Kaluma got him a footer +2. 7'2" Ivisic, known for his shot blocking skills, but that quick first step, and that's how you attack the rim.
He turned Big Z into Little Z with one drive.
But, Tom, it is interesting because Arkansas's best offensive team is not their best defensive team. And so that's the trade-off that Coach Calipari and the staff have been trying to figure out this season.
Trey Johnson off the mark. He'll take a lot of contested shots, but he makes a lot of contested shots. Meanwhile, John Calipari was all smiles at shoot-around today. Talked about the emotions that he went through, and I mentioned this a moment ago. He had one of his players that played for him at Kentucky last year come up to him 2 days before the game, and he said, "We got you, Coach. We're going to go win this game for you." And he said, "That's wonderful, and I appreciate that, but I want us to get to a point where you're winning games for each other." High expectations for Arkansas. They were a top 20 team coming into the season. Trevin Brazile with the size advantage kicks it out. Here's DJ Wagner. And Tremont Mark, former Razorback, rips down the rebound. He said there'll be some emotions today facing his former team, even though there's only one former player. That's number 4, Brazile, that he played with, so good buddies with. This match, Kaluma on Wagner. And the lights are going out here. So it's not because they're shooting the lights out, because Alyssa forgot to pay the electric bill.
I thought that was just part of this NBA-like arena effect. Kaluma didn't hesitate. He was ready to hoop.
Well, Rodney Terry said his team had a bonding moment on that last road trip. They lost a close one on the road at Oxford against Ole Miss. And then fog kept them from leaving town. Alyssa will have more on that later. But the downside is Rodney was battling the flu. And so he had to get isolated in his hotel room. The positives is that they then went on to Baton Rouge, and they absolutely smoked LSU. Coming off of an 89-58 win, the best shooting game in the SEC this season for Texas. Wagner downhill, and a block by Kaluma, but a foul on his way in.
And there he is again, Tom. He loves to go right to left and get to that left side of the rim. And you've got to try to sit on this left hand, even though he's a right-hand dominant player. And just a little reach in there by Johnson. And again, this game is all about matchups. Can you find the most vulnerable defender for the other team? Neither of these teams is going to run a ton of set plays. They're just going to try to exploit matchups and get their best offensive players in a position.
Another one coming for Wagner, who played for John Calipari, Kentucky last year. Sophomore from Camden, New Jersey. Dad DeJuan played for Cal at Memphis. It was a 6th pick of the draft to Cleveland. 4 for DJ, who's leading the SEC in minutes played, 34 minutes per game. He played all 20 in the second half at Rupp on Saturday. Kaluma has it swatted away by Visic, but picked up inside by Shedrick. Shedrick tried to kick it out and turns it over. First turnover for the Horns. Brazile out front, and an easy deuce for Trevin Brazile.
And you've got to get back if you're Texas, despite the turnover. That was an area where Kentucky was really destroyed as Arkansas outscored them 18-5 in fast break points. Must get back in transition.
It was a great running team. The Razorbacks, they scored 14 points per game on the run. Here's Johnson. Draws the double, kicks out to Kaluma. Arthur Kaluma had a 34-point game against Janai Broome and Auburn earlier this season. He had 5 threes in that game. He's had a hard time replicating that shooting touch since.
You see some of the switch on those pick and pops. On Visic, they do not want to let him get open from 3, does Texas.
Brazile with the pump fake. And here's Janelle Davis. And the drive by Knox, blocked by Shedrick. Texas coming the other way. Trey Johnson takes a spill. And it's knocked away. Johnson will have to recover. 5 of Texas's 7 possessions have gone under 10 seconds on the shot clock. This may be another. Julian Larry pull up, got it right with 10 on the clock.
He's got to look for his shot more. He's a capable scorer, but he's a pass first guy. Make defenses respect you, though. Good pull up there. And Wagner's going to have a little bit tougher time with Larry. He's their best on-ball defender, but that ball pressure released by Wagner. Great read on the back cut.
Nice assist by Ivisic. PJ Wagner's got 6 of the Hogs' 8. Shedrick gathers. Now he's going to go one-on-one with the 7'2" center. Ivisic is just playing with unbounded confidence on both ends of the floor now. That is a key departure from where he was at the beginning of conference play.
Yeah, we've seen him be a distributor and how well he makes this offense run, and he spreads the court because of his shooting skills. Held his own really well, 2 post-ups on that end of the court.
Fouled by Tremont Mark. We've got a tight one in a game with postseason implications. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by USAA, proudly serving the military community and their families. There's incredible history between these two programs. We roll you back to 1991. Nolan Richardson and the Arkansas Razorbacks went 15-1 in Southwest Conference play, meeting at Reunion Arena for the Southwest Conference Championship. Oliver Miller had 23 points. That was a Lee Mayberry jumper, and the Hogs put a $120 on the horns that game. This is the 156th meeting in a series that dates all the way to 1924, and the first time on campus since outside of an exhibition game here at Moody Center since Arkansas left for the SEC. And these players may not know the history, but certainly the fans are well aware in all sports.
And with the conference realignment taking away so many rivalries across the country, this has been a situation with Texas entering the SEC where we've gotten them renewed. You've seen Texas and Texas A&M, and of course, this one right in front of us. Great tradition between these two programs.
Out of the timeout, Johnell Davis puts up a 3. He took 60% of the shots when he was on the floor for Florida Atlantic last year. In conference play this year, that number shrinks to 23%. So your point about that usage, a drastic difference. And another turnover for Texas. Derek Onyema thought he got thrown down. A whistle on a drive, and Carter Knox will go to the free throw line.
Texas cannot be pleased with their defense so far. Rodney Terry said this game is all about protecting the paint. And 6 of Arkansas's 8 points have been from the paint. The other 2 have been from the free throw line off a paint touch, and then here it is again with a chance to convert a paint opportunity into 2 more free throws.
It's just amazing how Arkansas has found this level of confidence offensively. Carter Knox has another one coming. The game at Rupp on Saturday featured Arkansas going 13 of 25 for 3. That was their 5th best in school history at 54%. They had 17 assists. They only had a total of 18 in the 2 games prior combined. 89-point outbursts at Rupp and only 7 turnovers.
Coach Greenberg and Sean Farnham were talking about in studio. They've got to make sure this is
stolen away by Johnell Davis, and he climbs the ladder to throw it down.
And Johnell Davis in Arkansas trying to make sure that was not just an isolated event at Rupp Arena, bringing that show on the road again.
Nelly Davis with the takeaway, jumped into the passing lane. And the 2-hand throwdown to Hogs, doubling up the horns early. Austin. 12-6, Arkansas with the lead over Texas. Postseason implications for both of these teams, and plenty of postseason implications Thursday night. ESPN Thursday primetime women's doubleheader. Paige Beckers and number 5 UConn renew their rivalry on Rocky Top with 19th ranked Tennessee. That's their first game at 6:30 Eastern. Then we take it to South Bend for 3rd ranked Notre Dame playing host to Stanford.
Maybe a sellout crowd there in Knoxville. I know coaches don't love out of conference games during conference play, but when it's a rivalry like that, that is must-see TV.
And we got a whistle away from the basketball. I wonder if it was a clock issue.
I believe so.
Didn't look like the shot clock got reset, I suppose. They put 16 instead of 6. It kind of feels like, you think back, you're talking about a non-conference rivalry game in the middle conference play. It felt like Saturday night was a huge rivalry game with the energy that you could feel it through your television speakers on Saturday night. And Alyssa was there witnessing it firsthand.
It did. It felt like you were preparing to watch a big MMA fight or a boxing fight.
Right.
You just felt.
Pryor doesn't get the shot off. Alyssa, how did it feel to you?
Yeah, it was insane. It was emotional. And you talk about the three guys who followed Cal from Kentucky to Arkansas, had over 50 points combined in the win. I was talking to Adu Thero today. He said, I've never been booed in my life. I guess it didn't matter. He still had a great game.
Well, and even bigger than the atmosphere and the moment and the revenge is, do we look back on Selection Sunday and say that is the game that turned the season around for the Arkansas Razorbacks? Because prior to that, you had to wonder, was this one of the more disappointing teams in the league? But they've got plenty of life left in them, as they're showing you right now.
Brazil left that one short. Meanwhile, Texas had turned its season around after a slow start in league play. The Longhorns come into tonight having won 3 out of 4. That one is off of whom? It'll be a jump ball. They can't decide, and the possession arrow gives it to the visitors from Fayetteville.
I've been so impressed with the effort and energy defensively for Arkansas. I mean, they have been relentless on their closeouts, their activity. You see there, Arkansas is going to get the ball anyway, but they'll lose the possession arrow because they called a jump ball as they were uncertain. But nevertheless, this Razorback team, a big question I had was, how would they handle success and the emotional turnover from one game to next? And just like Alyssa talked about, they're playing free, they're playing loose, and they're getting it done defensively.
Well, a big part of that is number 3 in red, Adu Thero, but he's only played a couple of minutes in this game. Got pulled early. No signs of an injury as he's back on the floor, and another whistle. And we got an illegal screen taking it the other way, I believe, or did he step on the end line?
Oh, I tell you what happened. Billy Richmond's gonna, he's not gonna be forced out here, and you can't do that. You've got to stay in bounds, or if you're the first person to touch the ball after going out of bounds and receiving it, they're gonna call it a violation.
Yeah, good catch. And Bart Lennox was all over that. Official on the baseline. Here's Trey Johnson with the drive. Tough angle, and Shedrick there to pick it up. All hands from Knox and Davis in a tie-up. Hogs on a 6-0 run. It's a 6-point lead when we return. We'll take a look back at the magic at Rupp Arena. Homecoming like no other.
Well, Cal was the coach for 15 years. He's been gone less than 1, and tonight Jimmy Dykes, the past, is colliding with the present. I've never felt Rupp Arena like this. The former Wildcats in this game. Thero, 21. What a game Wagner is having. Ivisic, 14.
Hard game to win in this building. I've been here. So it's a hard game to win.
It was hard, and they played really, really well. 10-point win is the largest road win against a ranked opponent since 07 for Arkansas. The Razorbacks traveling party tried to do everything normal. In fact, they went to their favorite haunts Friday night. They went to Ruby's for dinner. When John Calipari got to the visitors' locker room, there was a letter from Kentucky Athletic Director Mitch Barnhart welcoming him back to town. He got a chance to go to Dunkin' Donuts and see all of his crew after shoot-around on Saturday. And while they tried to keep it normal, what they could control, there was nothing normal about it.
What I love is, for years, we would see John Calipari in the Kentucky press conferences saying, look, of course they came in and made a bunch of threes against us because we're Kentucky. And guess what happened? He got to do that to Kentucky.
Trey Johnson off the mark. And the ball gets kicked around to Wagner. And here's Thero. Like he was shot out of a cannon. Uh-oh, this is not good. Caden Shedrick late getting back down the court. And he goes to a knee just past midcourt. Texas team already without Kendall Weaver, who's missed the last 7 games. Warren Young is the athletic trainer for Texas, helped out by Darby Rich, the strength coach. And he's having a hard time putting weight on that left side. Number 5 in white.
Yeah, and doing what he always does. incredible effort on the offensive glass. I mean, I hate to see that. He immediately holds that lower back. He gets 3 offensive rebounds a game in conference play. Had a chance to talk with him at shoot around, and he's really been sort of a mentor for Trey Johnson as Wagner gets the role. They partnered Trey Johnson up with Shedrick in the offseason in the hotel to have that veteran leader around the young freshman.
It's a 9-0 run for Arkansas. Nelly Davis on the floor. Adu out front. Here's Thiero, and he slams it home. And the Hogs are running like old Southwest Conference days.
Texas cannot run any offense. The Arkansas perimeter and the ball pressure and jumping passing lanes has been absolutely elite early in this one.
Beautiful feed down low for Jason Kent for his first bucket. And that ends an 11-0 Arkansas run.
A better job by Texas just meeting the pass and making an adjustment, knowing that the guards are trying to jump those lanes.
Here's Nelly Davis off the screen. Left his feet and turned it over. Trey Johnson leading the break. Tough angle. And that'll go out of bounds and off of Texas.
Look at that steal by Arkansas on the live ball turnovers. And this is one way to really help a half-court offense that struggles is get turnovers, push it in transition, and run on misses. And Thiero, just an incredible athlete. Good opportunistic run out there by Thiero.
The biggest jump Adu Thiero has made in his game, not just changing the pronunciation of his last name, and that's hard for all of us, but also being able to finish at the rim. Now that was basic, that last one, but he's gotten a lot of work in. 2 on 3. Johnson takes it, got the whistle, and he'll go to the line. And DJ Wagner picks up his first. Check out the difference in finishing at the rim for Adu Thiero last year versus this year. He's always been a physical presence. It's 14% better. And I talked with Kenny Payne, who rejoined John Calipari, but was a longtime assistant for him at Kentucky before he ran off to Louisville for a couple of seasons. And he said, what we've worked on is really elevating the arm and finishing everything above the rim, not just when you're driving, but also on the jump shot, too. And another one for Trey Johnson. Checking with Alyssa.
I asked Adu today, Tom, what did you do in the offseason? What have you been working on to get to this point outside of what you just mentioned? He said, I had to get the dog mentality back. He said, I never lost it. Last year, I was just more of a role player. This year, coach has been telling me I can take over games. I know I need to be a physical finisher to play what is my strongest role on this team. And we saw that a lot in Arkansas's win on Saturday.
And Tom, he's meeting the challenge that Coach Calipari really presented him at Kentucky. In November of last year, Coach Cal said, I think you can be the best finisher in the country. He's almost there.
Ivisic steps through after the pump fake from deep and rolls it home. The sophomore from Croatia gets his first bucket.
How difficult of a shot is that to kind of do a slow Euro step, if you will. Contested tough, too.
Larry shook him. But not a true offensive threat, gives it up. Pass first point guard, takes a 15-footer and rolls it home. The Texas team, Dane, that came in not having many issues scoring, especially after an 89-point game at LSU, but a very slow start to the first 10 minutes of this one.
Yeah, I think it's more about what Arkansas is doing with their ball pressure and making other guys beat them.
DJ Wagner for 3, and Tremont Mark the rebound. Here's Larry left wide open. Just a 33% three-point shooter. Mismatch somewhere with Larry guarding Ivisic right now.
And if they're going to have that much ball pressure, do exactly that. Try to penetrate, get to that paint.
Ivisic fires, and it's rebounded by Devon Pryor. Texas just 5 for 15 in this game. Make it 5 for 16 with that one challenged at the rim. Wagner directing traffic. Here's Nelly Davis. What a career he had at Florida Atlantic. Into the corner for Carter Knox, and he splashes it home.
Well, when they get those paint touches and ball reversals, the percentages go way up. And it wasn't a great pass, but it was where Knox was expecting to get the ball. And when you get the ball where you expect to get it in terms of on the court, you're shot ready, odds are you're going to make it.
Shot clock once again late for Texas. This defense has been inspired for Arkansas. Larry again, 0 for 2 from deep. Chance to push Nelly Davis. And he'll fan out. They'll set up the offense with 7.5 to play in the first half. Razorback shooting 57% from the floor, 8 for 14. High assist numbers on Saturday night. They've assisted on 5 of 8 tonight. Larry got away with a hold. And it looks like they eventually got him for it. It's a first for Julian Larry. Arkansas shot the lights out Saturday. Continues tonight.
Yeah, you could forget about the season averages and percentages. This is a whole new Arkansas offense right now, playing with a ton of confidence.
Well, we got a double bubble matchup tonight. Arkansas is currently Vilnardi's next 4 out. They are trending up, though. They had a net of 60 on January 30th. They've turned it up in the month of February. Of concern to Rodney Terry is the effort so far tonight from Texas. They've got a great resume. 25 in the net. The BPI is 21. They get 4 quad 1 wins. But a home loss to Arkansas would be a missed opportunity if they can't get things right.
Well, this is not the same Texas team we've seen over the past 4 games. They've gone 3-1, including a close loss at Ole Miss, where I thought they played extremely well. And so for Arkansas to do this right now, still early in the game, but a 10-point lead on the road against a Texas team that I think has been playing the best basketball of their season, I think says a lot about the defensive intensity and confidence Arkansas is playing with. And Texas is going to have to find a little bit of their swagger back now.
Another one coming for Nelly Davis, who's been shooting the ball well his last couple of games. Doubling his season average. He was at 9 a game. He's got 18. And he goes 2 for 2, Alyssa.
Pick themselves up over in the Texas huddle. Guys, you were here for the Texas A&M game, and when I asked Trey Johnson today, is there a game you would circle on the I want to show film of this moment? He said it's the A&M game. We were down 20, and in the second half we came back. Just a reminder, this team can always create momentum when they need it.
Yeah, to be specific, it was a 22-point deficit. It tied for the largest known comeback in Texas history. Nice finish by Pryor, and Trey Johnson led the way. In the last 17 minutes, he outscored the Aggies himself, 24-18. By the way, word from the Arkansas bench is that Adu Thiero is under the weather right now. That's why he's been limited in action today. Alyssa, we both talked to him at shoot-around. He seemed fine at shoot-around. You agree with that?
Yeah, he certainly did. He was excited, like I said at the beginning of the game, to continue the momentum that he built on Saturday. Could not tell.
Here's Wagner with the left hand. Barely grazed the rim at the end of the clock. He's slow to get up.
Yeah, gotta push here.
Here's Jordan Pope. And he drills the corner 3. And the Longhorns have consecutive buckets. And now it's a 7-point game.
Yeah, anytime you see your point guard going into the paint, somebody's got to get back. And Arkansas too slow to react.
Thiero will check in at the next dead ball. See what kind of energy he plays with. Here's Davis, guarded by Pryor. 2-man game. Ivisic keeps it himself. Going to back down, and the 7-footer misses the jump hook. Here's Devon Pryor to Kaluma. Great paint protection by Arkansas. Every time Texas gets a drive, they end up with an off-balance effort. Jordan Pope with the bump is his first personal. Join us for more great college basketball games on Saturday, and we have scheduling and programming changes. Luka Doncic will be on ESPN. That means Florida and Auburn will be on ESPN2 at 4 o'clock Eastern. And Duke on the road at Little John will now tip at 6:30 Eastern. By the way, that also means Arkansas, Alabama will move back 30 minutes to follow. What are you hearing about Caden Shedrick over there, Alyssa, after he left after being banged up?
Yeah, Tom, he's dealing with back spasms. He's currently in the locker room being evaluated. I'm told he is questionable to return.
Ivičić with another miss from inside the paint. Transition three off the mark and rebounded by Johnell Davis. Wagner shuffles it back to Davis and he banks it in.
Davis is a very physical guard, and good job recognizing that Pope, a smaller defender, retreating. Good play.
Pope had a layup, kicks it out to Tremont Mark, the former Hog. Still hasn't scored in this game. That's his first shot. Davis steps through, blew the layup. Billy Richmond is there to pick it up, and he's fouled by Tremont Mark. That is number 2 on the former Razorback.
If you want to beat Arkansas, you've got to make them a half-court team, and too often is Texas trailing in transition, and you've got way more Arkansas jerseys down there following up than Texas. And Rodney Terry's got to say, look, guys, we're shooting it too quick on one end. We're not taking care of the basketball, but we've got to sprint back.
So Billy Richmond, the third at the free throw line, a Memphis native who played at East High School and then moved on to New Jersey, where he was roommates with DJ Wagner and Aaron Bradshaw, and Shedrick back on the floor for Texas. 4-star recruit, Jordan Brand All-Star. Billy Richmond originally committed to Kentucky when Calipari was there. Knocks them both down.
Good genes. His dad, Billy Richmond, a star for Hamilton. His uncle Dustin as well. Hamilton High School, great program in Memphis. Not quite White Station. Hope they're listening.
So biased.
I thought Billy Richmond, I think just 4 points in that last game, but he played really well at Kentucky. He had that thunderous left-hand dunk that really sent a message.
Well, the 2 buckets that he made, picks up the foul there. 4:29 to play in the half.
So if you're Rodney Terry, how can we get Trey Johnson the ball and get him some ISOs? He's so good on that baseline there, and you see Richmond denying him, but he loves to post up right here. See if they bring a double or let him play one-on-one.
He's at his best in the isolation, and Richmond quickly commits his second.
But Richmond brings a lot of length, and I like that matchup. As good as Trey Johnson is, to give him a couple different looks if you're Arkansas. I mean, Billy Richmond, 6'5", 205, long arms. Now they're going to switch Carter Knox on him as they get the substitution.
Trey Johnson is 0 for 4. His only points have come from the free throw line so far. He's leading the SEC in scoring. Only 5 freshmen have done that. That was almost too good a lead for Shedrick, who couldn't get there.
Yeah, that was actually an incredible pass there. Shedrick wasn't expecting it. Look at this, to whip it around 2 defenders, and Shedrick probably not rolling quite as hard due to those back spasms.
Eighth turnover for Texas. Wagner sends Ivičić down to the block, guarded by Onyema. And Davis with the reverse.
And again, you get to play through the big fella, Ivičić. You can either pick and pop with him, or what Coach Cal wanted him to do all preseason. He said, look, you're not just going to be a standstill shooter big man.
Trey Johnson for 3, drills it. Seth Greenberg compared him to Ray Allen. When he's hot, he looks like an elite shooter, 38% from 3.
Yeah, and if you're Arkansas, you're saying, man, like, we can't have that defensive breakdown. We got him out of rhythm, and then you just miscommunicate to give him a wide open look.
Thiero to Ivičić for 3. Cal was pumping up Ivičić at shoot around today, and he was pointing him out to the rest of his teammates. He said he doesn't need anybody to tell him he's great. He knows he is. Trey Johnson has scored 5 in a row. He's got 7 now.
Bit of a zone look. I like this from Texas, knowing that Arkansas struggles from the perimeter.
Thiero going strong, and he's fouled by Onyema.
Well, slow start for Texas, but if anybody can get them going, the freshman phenom Trey Johnson, and you cannot go under that screen or not switch out. That is too clean of a look. He has unlimited range and then shows you what he can do in transition with the left hand.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by H&R Block. It's better with Block. I love that question because we got a Chiefs fan versus an Eagles fan here.
Yeah, last time we met in the Super Bowl, when I say we, I mean me as being part of the Philadelphia Eagles. We didn't have Jalen Carter on that front defensive line. And, yeah, it's lockdown, baby. I was talking to Bruiser Flint, big-time Eagles fan on John Calipari's staff. Coach Cal came over. I said, man, you're going to have to keep him locked in. You know, he's a little distracted right now talking Super Bowl stuff.
Another one coming for Thiero. Alyssa, what did you hear in the huddle?
Yeah, a lot of it was spent talking about the way that Arkansas is defending Trey Johnson right now. Coach Cal likes what he sees, but then Carter Knox went under a ball screen. He said he can't do this against these guys. Also, noting that Texas just switched to a zone, so Cal and the offensive coaches talking about their zone offense.
Julian Larry with the and one opportunity as Ivica picks up his first.
Well, and that ball screen to the right, and you'll see Trey Johnson here. You cannot help off him, so there is going to be no help from Davis. So this is going to be an opportunity to get a drive, throw your shoulder into Ivica, and get the and one. Larry's been very aggressive, and he'll need to be as they put so much attention on Johnson.
Larry is a great high school football player coming out of Frisco before heading to Indiana State. One of two former Sycamores on this team. Nice pass from Wagner to Thiero, working on Kaluma. And Arthur Kaluma with his second.
As ugly as this has been for Texas, the whole difference in the game really has been Arkansas's ability to get to the free throw line. 8 of 10 to just 2 of 3 for Texas, and I think that was the right call. Kaluma had his hands over the defender as opposed to straight up. He tried to bring him up late.
Thiero 71% from the free throw line on the season, 8 points better than that in conference play. Women's Hoops takes over the SEC Network every Thursday. This week, another great doubleheader. Number 23, Alabama will be on the road to take on Florida at 7, followed by a top 25 showdown. 24th ranked Vanderbilt and number 4 Texas from right here at the Moody Center, 9 o'clock Eastern. Thiero 2 for 2 for the line.
Big couple minutes for Texas. You got to keep this thing in single digits. I think they're anxious to get to halftime and just regroup because there's some controllables right now that with better shot selection and taking care of the ball and hustling back in transition, this could be a different game. But right now, this tempo and rhythm is all Razorbacks.
Thiero may be under the weather. This time he was over Onyema, who gets whistled for the undercut.
Great effort there. See that athleticism.
Arkansas has been wildly efficient from the free throw line. Coming into this game, middle of the pack in the SEC as a team. They are 10 for 12 from the line tonight. And Thiero with another one coming. When he was wearing Kentucky blue, it seemed like every time a new season rolled around, Adou Thiero had gained another 5-10 pounds. He had grown another couple of inches. In fact, he grew 2 inches before the season last year, going all the way up to 6'8", 220.
Well, and it's in the bloodlines. His father, Omami, played for Calipari at Memphis and was a late bloomer himself. So Coach Cal had an inside track on that one.
Knox the block, and then Tremont Mark the foul. Mark was excited about facing his former team, and it's some very nice words to say about the Arkansas fan base, but he has not been himself tonight.
Well, and Texas is just getting some very tough shots on the half-court end, and all they've done the past 2 possessions is foul on the rebound and then in transition. We said about 20 seconds ago that this is a very important 2 minutes for Texas, and all they've done is miss a couple shots and put Arkansas right back at the line.
Third for Mark. He's looking over to the Texas bench. Likely coming out after this free throw. Thero's the only Razorback that's missed a free throw tonight. Thero had a monster game a couple of games ago against Georgia, 17 and 11 with 5 offensive rebounds, including 2 in the last 3 seconds.
Tom, we talked about when you're defending Texas, it's not so much their plays, it's their playmakers. And Arkansas has done a terrific job of taking pride in their one-on-one matchups against their top scorers.
Johnson guarded by Thero. Here's Kent. Spins around on Wagner, and another off-balance shot. Ivičić with the rebound.
And it just seems like Arkansas is having Texas take the shots they want from who they want.
Texas is really struggling. They've turned it over in 24% of their possessions, and they're scoring less than 0.75 points per possession. Thero behind the back, and another whistle on Texas. This one charged to Devon Pryor. Well, a lot of people looked at the results Saturday night at Rupp and said, can you build on it? Can you take that and then repeat it next time out with another road game? And with Alabama coming to Bud Walton on Saturday night, at least through a half, Arkansas has certainly done that.
Yeah, and they've continued to be aggressive. Teams want to make them settle from 3. And I think they've done a really nice job continuing to put their head down, attack the rim, initiate contact. Just because the other team knows you're going to drive doesn't mean they can stop you. And Thero's done a great job with that.
Thero 5 for 9 from the free throw line. He came in at 79% on the year. And he was 10 for 12 against the Cats on Saturday night. Missed them both.
Yeah.
Here's Julian Larry, guarded by Wagner. Trey Johnson looking for a screen. Pryor popped out instead. Here it is, and it's stolen away. Janelle Davis missed it, kicked it off of his shin and out of bounds. And it's a Texas team at last set is not on the same pace.
Yeah, they are sprinting through these, and you have got to come meet that pass more aggressively. Arkansas has been extremely active, jumping those lanes. They're early, they're to their spots. And one, you got to be sharper with your pass, but I think you've got to go get that ball. It's like a 50-50 ball trying to complete a perimeter pass right now against this Arkansas defense.
Trey Johnson has been a second-half player over the course of the season, so that's no big surprise, especially against A&M. And Davis goes down, recovers nicely. Great effort on the defensive end for Arkansas. Brazil with it. Trey Johnson scores 10 points a game in the second half, 8 in the first over the course of the season. 35-24. We step away for half a minute. Back to Austin. How about the defensive effort from Arkansas?
Yeah, they have really stepped up in this one. You see the rim protection they've had. Texas has had no clean looks. It's been hard for them to even complete a pass in this one. 8 turnovers in the first half for Texas. And you see just the discipline, the positioning that Arkansas has been in to allow them to jump these passing lanes, of course, get to transition.
Texas 24 points, matching their season low and a half, going back to the December 8th game against UConn.
Tom, I think one of the late plays they'd like to run here is see if you can't get some ball screen action with Wagner and Ivičić up top and maybe a pick and pop or Wagner getting downhill towards the basket.
Here's Wagner with 10, gives it up, gets it back. Ivičić at the elbow. Working on Kent with 6. Jump hook, no. Rebounded by Nick Cody. Here's Larry now with 1 from midcourt. Just wide. A tremendous defensive effort for Arkansas in the first half. Let's get to the court side. Alyssa Lang chasing down John Calipari.
How would you evaluate the first half?
Really good defense, and the kids are playing. I'm so excited to be coaching this group. I mean, what else can they give us?
Thank you, Coach. Tom?
Listen, DJ Wagner told you this weekend that John Calipari said, I'm going to coach with more joy this year. That is evident and also joyful when you have an 11-point lead on the road. To the studio, my man KC.
Dropping valuable coupons for delicious menu items. Visit Rudy's.
Welcome back to Austin, Texas. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. It's a 35-24 lead for Arkansas over Texas at the half. And moments ago, Alyssa Lang with Longhorns head coach Rodney Terry.
Coach, what was the message to your team at halftime?
You know, we've been better all year long taking care of the basketball. We have to do a better job of that. They did a great job coming out defensively. We got to be strong with the ball, meet passes, initiate our offense, and just play confident.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Arkansas had a great defensive first half. Tom Hart with Dane Bradshaw, 6 steals for the Razorbacks, and Arkansas continuing the defensive momentum from the win Saturday.
Yeah, and if you're going to win on the road, your point guard's got to set the tone. I thought that's exactly what happened in that first half. DJ Wagner was sensational to start. He got himself to the rim with the penetration. When they tried to deny the ball back to him, he made a great back cut, operating offense through Big Z. But the story, to your point, Tom, was really the defense intensity, jumping passing lanes, not letting Texas run their offense. Even when Texas wasn't turning it over, it was tough contested twos. And Arkansas, 10 points off those turnovers, and obviously getting themselves to the free throw line. That was a huge difference right there. My goodness, if you're Texas, you cannot win this game if you continue to put Arkansas to the charity stripe.
Trey Johnson was 7 points in the first half. That's only 1 point below his average. He's been a second-half player all season, especially in big games. He keyed that 22-point comeback against A&M.
Pryor getting the start out of the second half. Tramon Mark will be coming off the bench for Texas.
Here's Kaluma with the jump hook. Onyema also getting the start. Remember, Caden Shedrick dealing with back spasms. He was working with the trainer at halftime on his agility, trying to get back into the swing of things. It's a 33% shooting night for the Longhorns. It's a good shooting team on average during the season. Then a whistle against the visitors. Dero with his first. Curious to see how Texas gets Trey Johnson involved. Here he is off the curl, and Wagner jumps out to deny him.
I think they like this matchup here. You got to post him up. There you go. That's the shot.
Fade away. Rebounded by Carter Knox. Wagner's taken over point guard duty since Boogie Flan was lost with the thumb injury. He's missed now 4th game in a row. Davis off balance off the back rim, and Thero went awkwardly after that one, lost his footing. Lob on the run, and it goes in, but basket interference. And add to that, Pryor came down awkwardly on his right ankle.
It's just been one of those nights so far for Texas. To start this second half, they've gotten some great looks. They had 2 jump hooks right in front of the rim they missed. You get Trey Johnson on his patented baseline jumper. He misses. And then this lob, ball happens to go in, but not without hanging on the rim for basket interference and insult to injury.
There's really only, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, it's an 11-point lead, but one game where Texas really failed to show up, and that was the second half at Florida. And talking with Rodney Terry about it, and he said, number one, I felt like we ran out of gas in that second half. But prior to losing that momentum, we had a couple of plays and a couple of shots that didn't go in that I felt like could have really turned the tide and given us that boost of energy we needed. One of those was a transition three from Trey Johnson. Here's one of those, and he's off the mark.
I will say, Tom, this reminds me a little bit of that Texas A&M game. Not the same deficit, but you're playing against a team that is playing really well in Arkansas right now. But you have to remember, hey, this is a team that can have their cold streaks, the Arkansas Razorbacks. So stay the course. Try to chip away at this lead.
Meanwhile, it's a cold streak for Texas. Longhorns have missed their last 9 shots, and Pryor's going to stay down on the floor. Arkansas has a 5-on-4 on this side. Set through, two-hand jam by Thiero.
Well, I mean, great job by Thiero recognizing the mismatch, and a big man tries to close out on him.
Well, no wonder John Calipari loves his team. Pryor's going to head back to the end of the bench with the head athletic trainer. 22 in white on the left side. Yeah, turned that ankle coming down on Janelle Davis's foot.
And he's been playing really well, has Pryor, a guy that didn't get many minutes early in the season, but now when he comes in, you expect him to produce. A big reason why he got the start in the second half, but Mark will have to come back in.
Thiero whistled for his second.
Nice job by Davis swinging it. And here's the big man closing out on Thiero, and he just says, that's too easy right there. One-on-one on your center. No help defense. Big breakdown by Texas as they were short a man on that transition.
Adding to the Longhorns' shooting woes, 2 for 12 from 3. Trey Johnson off the screen. In and out. And as those misses continue, it feels like it compounds the negative energy. Wagner kicks to the wing. 3 good for Janelle Davis. Nellie Davis turning it up in the second half with a pair of triples. And it's a 19-point lead, largest lead of the game for the Razorbacks.
Well, this is a developing story in the SEC. Janelle Davis, arguably the top transfer from Florida Atlantic. Slow start, but he's at 18 in back-to-back games, and now he's red hot on the road.
Well, Nellie Davis has blossomed over the last handful of games for Arkansas, and already 6 points in this half. He's their leading scorer with 14.
Well, many thought he would be an all-SEC player, and he had not played that way in the non-conference. But with Boogie Fland on the bench now with that season-ending hand injury, Janelle Davis being relied upon, and he is stepping up to the challenge. And if you're an SEC competitor, look out, because the Razorbacks take it up a notch when Davis is playing well.
They gave FAU 18-6 last year, American Athletic Conference Co-Player of the Year. And you mentioned one of the top recruits, transfers in the country, off the foot of Pope, and they just get it across and beat the 10-second count. Nick Cody is seeing some time in the front line for Texas now, still without Caden Shedrick. Kaluma left his feet and turned it over. Knox throws it to the cheerleaders. Alyssa, what'd you hear in the Texas huddle?
Well, we saw Devon Pryor go off a few minutes ago. It looked like an ankle injury. It's actually a right calf strain. The trainer was putting icy hot on it, working it out. He was trying to do some calf raises in that last huddle. Caden Shedrick also walked over to the huddle, was bouncing around. Both guys making a massive effort to get back into this game, right as Coach Rodney Terry and the rest of the staff emphasizing, guys, we have to fight. Both of those guys fighting to get back in this matchup.
They fought back from 22 down against A&M. What is Texas missing without Shedrick on the floor?
Yeah, offensive rebounds. He gets 3 of them a game in conference play. He's also a great screener, and they've been able to get the pick and roll game going as of late. Big time rim protector, just communicator. I mean, he is really the anchor on both ends of the court. But this is not the first time, Tom. I'm not sure Rodney Terry and the staff know game in, game out, who is our best 5. And right now they're searching for that in the second half. And sometimes it takes them longer than they would like to figure out what our best 5 is.
Kaluma, nice slip. Ball fake. Adivicic in the air, and Thiero just spiked it.
Man.
Pretty good volleyball team here in Austin. Janelle Davis jump hook short, and Mark fouled him. That is the 4th on Tremont Mark, who just hasn't been able to get in the rhythm tonight.
Wrong place, wrong time with Mark. But how about this? With Thiero just saying, give me that. And you talked about it. He just times this perfectly to get a second jump up and says, all right, you got me on the first pump fake. You're going up for real this time, but you're not going to get anything out of it. The athleticism and rim protection. This is an Arkansas team that if you can get it up in there, they struggle to get the defensive rebound, but it's can you get it up, because they're a great shot blocking team.
Mark takes his seat. A good boost for Texas with Shedrick returning to the floor. We'll see what kind of production they can get from Shedrick. By the way, our friend Hogstats.com points out that this is an Arkansas team with the lead at the half on the road against Texas is 10-1 since 1970. What great history between these two programs. Ellie Davis has 16 back-to-back 18-point games and knocking on the door of that number again. Longhorns, meanwhile, have missed their last 12 shots. Julian Larry draws the whistle from Billy Richmond III, and foul number 3. By the way, we've got Arkansas at Alabama Saturday night from Bud Walton Arena. 3rd-ranked Crimson Tide roll in for a tip that's just a hair later than originally scheduled. It'll be 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central with myself and Jimmy Dykes. Should be a great atmosphere at Bud Walton, especially if Arkansas can win 2 in a row. 2 in a row on the road. Here's the feed to Davis, stolen by Julian Larry.
That's how you get back. That's amazing effort by Larry. I mean, for him to sprint, that's normally a 2-on-1, but outstanding effort after a frustrating offensive sequence by Larry. I think in the half-court time, Trey Johnson's going to have to work harder than maybe he has all season at getting the ball, because right now Texas can fall into a little bit of this my-turn offense.
Yep.
And he can't just sit there and watch other guys take turns going one against a set defense of 5.
It's Carter Knox committing his first. 24 points at the half for Texas, and they haven't budged from that number. Season low in points and a half, matched by their performance against UConn. Wagner picks up his 3rd. (45-24) Arkansas with a 3-touchdown lead on the road in Austin. National championships in a series. It dates to the mid-90s. That's the first game on Thursday prime time, presented by Indeed, followed by Stanford and Notre Dame, coming your way at 8:30 Eastern Thursday on ESPN. Tom Hart, Dane Bradshaw, Alyssa Lang from Austin, where Texas has been set back by injuries to its front line today, including Caden Shedrick, who's back on the floor. But the Longhorns really struggling offensively, 6.5 minutes nearly without a point.
Well, they're searching for an identity right now on the offensive end, and they know it goes through Trey Johnson. And they've gotten them some pretty good looks, actually, in the second half. Have not been able to knock them down. And whereas Arkansas, they've essentially played 7 players. Adu has been in the game for a couple minutes, the big man, but he hadn't seen any action yet here in the second half. They seem to be very comfortable with their rotation and much more of a rhythm.
I don't mean to sound like an ignorant question coming your way, but is it possible that Arkansas is a better team without Boogie Fland? I know they're not as talented, obviously, with a top pick sitting out.
I think big picture they would be better with Fland. There's a much needed 3 by Larry, but I think it has caused people to step up in their roles, and you get a little bit more of a rhythm with more minutes spread out amongst the backcourt.
There were times throughout the course of the season in the first 16 games or so, as Ivicic throws it down, where roles were a little bit undefined, and there was some question from consistency, and on top of that, confidence for individual players for this Arkansas team. It seems like both individually and as a whole, they're playing with incredible confidence on both ends, and now a block in the defensive end.
And we saw Tennessee on Saturday without Zakai Ziegler. Are they a better team without Zakai Ziegler? Of course not. But with his absence, it made people defer less and get into their own offensive rhythm.
Hogs have outscored the Horns 12-3 since the break. Ivisic gives it up. Brother Tomislav playing for Brad Underwood at Illinois. They went head-to-head earlier this season. Kansas City, that's the first three for Big Z.
Well, he shows you he can rip through and go finish above the rim. We've seen his rim protection, but where he's deadly is that pick and pop.
Johnson, turnaround off 1 foot. He's not having the night.
No, and that's a good look for him. I mean, that's what he's been knocking down consistently all season.
2 for 12 tonight for Trey Johnson. One of his worst shooting performances of the year. Back to Big Z. He plays with confidence that John Calipari instills in him. And he knows how hard Cal worked last year to get him eligible while at Kentucky. He arrived from Croatia and still had to fight for eligibility through the university. Nearly blocked that one out of Johnson's hands. And didn't play the first 16 games of the year, then came out against Georgia, hit 3 threes and had 3 blocks. He is a versatile big.
He's coming off the best game of his career at Rupp Arena, and you can see his confidence just through the roof right now. And just a good message for all the players across college basketball, youth sports. I mean, he was a bench warmer for a lot of part of this season. They were trying to figure out what is his role, what happened to Big Z, and Coach Cal just kept saying, you're going to break through, you're going to break through soon. And the challenge the staff has had is, hey, he gives up some on the defensive end because he's a little bit frail. We give up some offensive rebounds more than we'd like, but how can we get him better on the defensive end, knowing how much he brings to the table offensively? And I think because his defensive confidence has stepped up in the production there, that's allowed him to stay in the game more, and you see this Arkansas offense look so much better when he's on the court.
So Big Z leaves for a moment. Jonas Aidoo replaces him. Another free throw coming for Arthur Kaluma, who played at Creighton, Kansas State before making his way to Austin. 2 for 2 from the line. Not much going well for Texas tonight. Not the least of which Trey Johnson 2 for 13, matching his total in the first matchup of the season with the Aggies. He went 2 for 13 on the road at Reed Arena in College Station. Jamon Mark has been a non-factor due to foul trouble and sloppy play. He hadn't scored the game against his former program.
Tom, Texas has taken 10 more field goals than Arkansas, and they're down 21. If that tells you what kind of offensive night it's been.
Turn around for Aidoo. Wow. Jonas Aidoo hadn't made a bucket in the last 2 games.
Well, and that's a tough spot to be in. Credit him. You've been on the bench for a long time in this game to get that late shot clock and do a nice turnaround jumper.
Johnson, reverse layup off the window, good. By the way, word from Alyssa Lang, Devon Pryor's been ruled out for the remainder of this game due to that right calf injury.
Got to see Aidoo get the ball again. There he is. He can go right hand or left hand.
There's the left. And a foul charge to Brazil, crashing the boards.
Nice drive by Trey Johnson. He is not going to let up. There's no quitting this guy. He has a scorer's mentality and has a short memory. But here's his struggles. I mean, this is usually a money shot. That's a layup for him on that baseline. Good open 3 in transition. Unable to get it down. Good set play. Get your best score, an open look from 3. And then plenty of contested 2s with the rim protection of Arkansas. It's been one of those nights for Trey Johnson.
Here's Kaluma at the free throw line. Alyssa, for Trey Johnson, it's not just his play on the court basketball, but the teamwork happens in pickleball too. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take the story away from Dane because he was the one doing the real digging here. But apparently, Dane, there were pickleball championships won in the offseason.
I appreciate you crediting the source
I'll never
here, but
steal
all
that
this,
from you.
yeah. I asked Caden Shedrick. He was talking about how he was roommates with him. They really bonded, and he's kind of helped sort of mentor Trey. He said, "Look, Trey and I have had great chemistry, and it goes back to what I thought he said, the pickup 2-on-2. I go, so y'all had a 2-on-2? He goes, a pickup game? He goes, no, pickleball. We dominated these dudes.
Caden Shedrick, by the way, has a wingspan of 7'5". That can get you in the kitchen without stepping over the line. Thero fouled on his drive, and it's a third if it's going to Arthur Kaluma. It is. So we'll do Thero at the free throw line. Thero free throw shooting has been the only thing missing for Arkansas tonight. He's only 5 for 10 from the line. Alyssa, pickleball, is that your thing?
Tom, if you had to choose between Dana or I as a pickleball partner, who would you pick?
You, 100%.
That's the right answer.
Yes.
Well, and based on how inconsiderate you guys were for Starbucks orders earlier, I feel good about my chances because y'all are a selfish team. You're out for yourselves, and pickleball's a team game. I'll find a partner that cares about the team more.
I don't know how you are in spelling bees, but there is an I in pickleball. Johnson behind the back. He says, get out of my way. I want to take it myself. And he runs into 3 Razorbacks. Pick a hog, and who the foul's going to be on. It's got Billy Richmond. It's his 4th. It's a 20-point road lead for Arkansas. Well, Joe Lunardi is enamored, as many are, with the SEC. He's got 3 #1 seeds projected coming into action tonight, including Tennessee, which protected its home court against Missouri after trailing at the half. This is a total of 13 teams from the SEC. He's got 6 locks, and Georgia as an 11 seed, Arkansas among the next 4 out. Their success rate getting in takes a huge jump with a win on the road here against Texas tonight.
And if Texas fans, you want to hear some good news, as hard as it is right now, down 20, you just look at this past Saturday. There's a lot of teams on that list that have been blown out in conference play. You look at Missouri when they went on the road to Mississippi State. Tennessee and Florida, that was a 50-point swing. Tennessee lost at Florida by 30, and then they beat them, Florida and Knoxville, by 20. And so it can be some head-scratching nights in the league, and this is certainly one of them because this is not the Texas team we've seen recently. But it's also about not only who you play, but when you play them. And if you're Rodney Terry, aren't you thinking, I wish I would have had this Arkansas team to start conference play, not right now.
Give them to me in January. Let me face that Hog squad. Lob, Ivičić throws it down. Zvonimir Ivičić has 9, 7 of those in the second half.
Just a tremendous set play call by Coach Calipari out of the timeout.
Ray Johnson's sidestep 3, drills it. There's that Ray Allen comp that Coach Greenberg was talking about.
I like it.
Meanwhile, Big Z having his way. He's from Vodice in Croatia, known for having the world's best oysters. Road trip taste test, what do you say?
Let's do it. Maybe right before the game.
Corner 3, John L. Davis. He's got 3 threes this half. And a kick by Nellie Davis. This is an Arkansas staff that recruits internationally really hard, led by Chuck Martin. And you go and find a guy like this, throw down like that, it's worth those long flights over the Atlantic.
Well, it starts with a ball screen, and then the ball screener gets a back screen from Davis. And they ran similar plays to start the game at Kentucky, to start the second half against Kentucky. Thero's been on the receiving end of some of those as well. Just good action.
I don't know if they ran that play in the Adriatic League when he was playing for Montenegro. Carter Knox, part of the family tie-ins for John Calipari on the recruiting trail. Carter, a freshman from Tampa, came to Fayetteville from Overtime Elite in Atlanta. And of course, Kevin Knox was a fantastic player for Calipari. Well, as for more great college basketball games on Saturday, our featured matchups include #1 Auburn trying to protect the home court at the Jungle again. They get a Florida team which had its worst shooting night in recorded history, afternoon I should say, in the game against Tennessee. And then #2 Duke takes on Clemson at 6:30 on ESPN. Note a programming change at Auburn game on ESPN2.
Todd Golden was an assistant under Bruce Pearl at Auburn, so I think those two coaches know exactly what the other is trying to do. And you try to throw in a few wrinkles, but we're seeing it right now. These SEC teams are so familiar with each other, and a lot of it, it's just about lining up and taking pride in your one-on-one matchup. And Arkansas has certainly done that. But Trey Johnson is not going to stop. He's going to keep firing away.
Guarded by Knox, dumps it inside on Yema, missed the jam. Tries it again, and Big Z sends it the other way.
Wow. As my coach used to say to us when we'd miss bunnies like that, I can't get you any closer. I don't have a play that gets you any closer than that.
Did you miss bunnies like that, though? Is that how you missed them?
No, it was like his second one with the shot clock. Yeah.
Texas takeaway. Here's a lob. That's a good-looking shot. Arthur Kaluma throws it down with 2. 18-point Arkansas lead.
Here's the challenge for Arkansas is to not play the scoreboard. Yes, you want to take your time, be patient offensively, but you can't stop being the aggressor or take a play off.
Here's Wagner off the screen. Got a switch, and Big Z's got little Julian Larry on him. Wagner says, I'll take it. Let's peek ahead to Saturday night on ESPN. Here's Trey Johnson. Arkansas and Alabama. Can Arkansas keep this train rolling?
Well, I tell you, with the way they're defending, they'll give themselves a chance. And Alabama is so tough to cover. And to me, you've got to try to take away Alabama's 2s before their 3s, because otherwise they're going to hit you in both ways. And Alabama's been good from 3, not great like they have been in years past. I think you got to try to clog the lane and force them to beat you from 3.
And they had to bye midweek. Alabama 174th in the country from 3. Nate Oates' team is 5th in the country from 2. Shooting better than 60% inside the arc.
And I think young blood for them in the backcourt's really starting to find his rhythm. When they lost Reitzel, he was the best 3-point shooter, 40%, and he was out for that season-ending injury. But Youngblood started to really replace what Reitzel was bringing to the table.
Second on Julian Larry.
I do think that crowd at Bud Walton Arena is going to be a lot different for Alabama than maybe you thought a week ago, right? I mean, it's not just about the team getting more confident, but the fans becoming more interested and intrigued. And now all of a sudden you have this home court advantage that maybe wasn't being maxed out prior to that big win at Kentucky. And if you go on the road back-to-back big-time performances like they're showing here, it could be tough for the rest of the SEC.
Here's Julian Larry. Ivisic got a piece of that one again. And Shedrick had a hard time keeping his feet. I think the key to your comment just now is maxing out that home crowd. We know how much basketball means to the entire state of Arkansas, but the enthusiasm based on some of the struggles early this season, 2-6 in league play, they haven't filled that building like we know they can. You played in the league. What difference does it make in the SEC when Arkansas is good, if not great?
Oh, God, you talk to anybody that's been in this league a long time, they say, look, it might not be night in, night out at Bud Walton Arena, but when they're at their loudest, that has been the toughest place to play. And Bud Walton Arena, especially when you got a team like Alabama, you need your home crowd to provide like a +6, +8 for you. That gets the other team out of rhythm if you want a chance to pull off that upset.
Alyssa, it was just a couple of years ago they knocked off #1 Auburn, and they also knocked your iPad halfway across the court.
Yeah, I couldn't find my cell phone keys, iPad for a good 2 hours after the game was over, but wanted to forget about that. Thanks, Tom. Part of the part that's been so impressive.
Johnson and Davis getting into it a little bit. Frustrations on the Texas side, it looked like. And Trey Johnson's going to knock Davis's hands down. Bart Lennox doing a great job getting in there, letting cooler heads prevail.
Timely with what I was about to say.
Yeah,
One of the more impressive parts of this Arkansas team, when I was talking to Cal over the weekend, he said despite all the adversity coming into that game at Rupp Arena with just one conference win, these guys could have come apart at the seams, and they didn't. And I was telling you guys this morning, between today's Arkansas shoot-around, Saturday's Arkansas shoot-around, it was some of the loosest I've seen a Coach Cal and Coach Cal team getting ready for a game despite what the record looks like. So for Arkansas to be able to stay together as a team off the floor and have that translate on the floor, they're a pretty dangerous team that I wouldn't want to face right now.
Well, despite the intensity that he shows in game, as he always does, it's a kinder, gentler John Calipari, it feels like.
Yeah, but Alyssa was there for that Auburn game you're talking about. And my big question is this looser John Calipari? If they beat Alabama, will he keep his shirt on, or will he do the Eric Musselman Sports Center hit with the arm sling, shirtless?
I don't think you have to worry about John Calipari coming out without his shirt on. Trey Johnson fouled. He'll be at the free throw line when we return. Calipari Natalie attired tonight, and the clothing will stay on, is my prediction. It's an Arkansas outburst, and Nelly Davis leading the way with 19.
Yeah, he has been feeling it from deep, not just in this game, but the past two. And this could literally change Arkansas' season. If one of the best scorers in the country, the big-time transfer from Florida Atlantic, can all of a sudden become this type of player, watch out. And Big Z's complimentary on the inside and outside. These are two players, Tom, between Davis and Big Z, that gave you such optimism for this Arkansas team. But they got off to their slow starts. For example, Big Z tonight has played 29 minutes, 9 points, 12 rebounds. It wasn't a month ago that it was 3 consecutive SEC games that only played a total of 17 minutes. He was not playing hardly at all. And aside from that, everybody was wondering what's wrong with Nelly Davis as well. Yet now you fast forward less than a month later, and those two guys have been the best two players on the court tonight on a big SEC road win opportunity.
For Ivisic, it's a career high in rebounds with 12 tonight. Another one coming for Trey Johnson. Zvonimir Ivisic showed up in Lexington last year on the same day as Big Blue Madness, and the first time he walked into the facility, the Kraft Center at Kentucky, the practice facility, he said, "I'm hungry." They handed him a steak on a paper plate. "Welcome to the United States." And he's worked to put on weight, and he's worked to gain confidence. And man, is he brimming with that now. That was way off the mark from Janelle Davis.
You know, a couple buckets, and if you're Texas, you can get this thing to single digits.
Shedrick with the hammer, got a footer. Second bucket of the game for Caden Shedrick. It's a 9-0 Texas run. John Calipari takes a timeout, and the building showing some life. Austin gets weird late, and it took a little while for the crowd to get into it, but the Longhorns giving their fans something to get on their feet for now.
Well, we talked about what was missing with Shedrick out earlier with those back spasms. He's the best screener, he's the best roller, and one of the best finishers at the rim. You see the emotional leadership he brings to the table. The two-man game with Johnson, Shedrick, that was missing in the first half.
That's all pickleball right there.
That is. You see the chemistry from the pickleball court to the hardwood. And he is laying it all out there for his team. Like I said, he is the glue on both ends of the court for this Texas team. Is it too little, too late? We'll see. But there is a ton of time left as Texas has momentum in this game for the first time.
And a part of that is their defense and some poor shots from Arkansas. Razorbacks have missed each of their last 5. And for Arkansas, it's a scoring drought pushing 5 minutes now.
And that's why we said earlier, it does remind you a little bit of that A&M game where you have a team that can go on scoring droughts. You just got to stick with it.
Wagner pinned by Shedrick. He had blown right by Johnson, but picked up by his teammate. Transition three. Got it! Trey Johnson is alive, and so are the Longhorns. 12-0 Texas run. Thero at the blow-by. Whoa! He cocked it all the way back.
You've got to be kidding me. How did he do that? The power dribble gets it almost outside the backboard and hammers it home.
He came from New Braunfels on that one. Here's Shedrick now. Longhorns have scored 12 of the last 14. Trey Johnson can take over a game. Deep. And Kaluma crashing the glass. Foul on the floor against the Razorbacks, and Adou Thero, his third.
Well, Thero says chances of blocking this, 0. What a ferocious dunk there, and that's how you got to finish against big-time shot blockers like Shedrick. And Trey Johnson, this is where he is most deadly. Transition, stepping right into that three. Nice job by Texas finding their shooters.
So Arthur Kaluma at the free throw line. He used 4 for 4 from the line tonight. That A&M comeback for the Longhorns was a game they trailed by 22. Matched their biggest comeback in known history, back to a game against Oklahoma about 15 years ago. The deficit tonight was 23. And Kaluma knocks them both down. The first time the lead has been down to single digits since it was just about 2 minutes left in the first half. That's when the Longhorns went ice cold. That continued into the early minutes of the second stanza. Wagner behind the back on Mark. Got it to go.
Yeah, you got to know he wants to come back that way. Even though he's a right-handed player, I say make him finish with his right. He loves coming back to that left side of the rim.
Here's Julian Larry. Here's Mark. Well, Mark has yet to score in this game. Johnson working on Davis. Slithers his way through, but can't finish, and then tried to track down the miss. It'll be out of bounds on Arkansas and stay this way.
I love the way Wagner just continues to operate here in the lane. Good penetration, gets cut off, and just a really good 1-foot finisher. Even when he's fading away on the left side, that's where he's most comfortable, and doesn't get to the free throw line, but that is where Arkansas must try to maintain this lead. They've only got to the free throw line 4 times this half compared to 18 in the first half.
Kaluma takes it all the way. Whoa! Massays it off the window, and they'll count it. Timeout on the floor. Arthur Kaluma going back to the free throw line, trying to make it an 8-point game.
We'll see the fake handoff by Kaluma. They are so worried about Larry getting the handoff there, miscommunication. But this finish is just sensational. I mean, how the heck does he get this to go? He can't even see the rim, just throws it up on the left side.
NASCAR's Ryan Blaney had a big finish at Bowman Gray this weekend, and he's hoping his Texas Longhorns can pull out a big finish tonight. Trying to come back from a 23-point deficit. Last time they were home, they raced a 22-point deficit against Texas A&M. Tremont Mark provided the game winner, blown by Wade Taylor IV. And the second half was one of great emotion in this building, especially against their rivals. Second half tonight, they missed their first 12 shots since then, 8 of 17.
And this is a Texas team that knows how to win ugly. You mentioned the deficit they had against A&M in the home game prior to that. It was a brick fest against Missouri, one of the hottest teams in the league, but Texas found a way to win that. If they pull this one off, you just got to get used to a Texas team that it's not going to look good for 40 minutes, but somehow they find a way to stay in ball games and give themselves a chance down the stretch.
What has Arkansas not done well offensively the last few minutes?
Well, I think you got to get Big Z involved in some of these ball screens up top. Make them guard the pick and pop, and if they guard that, then you should have a driving angle at the rim, knowing that the big man has to respect Big Z out top.
Rodney Terry wanted full court pressure and a trap on the ball, but Texas got out of it. Thiero. No. Knox. No. Rebounded by Shedrick. Trey Johnson always a threat no matter where he is. Dumped down to Shedrick, and he lost it, and they're going to get Thiero for the foul, and that is number 4 on Adou Thiero, and Shedrick slow getting up for Texas.
He has been an absolute warrior in this game. This guy has had those back spasms early, but this two-man game is their best offense, really, and Johnson's learned to trust this action so much more in the ball screen, and Shedrick immediately grabbing towards that left lower back.
He has been fighting all night, guys. I know we've been talking about it, but in that last Texas huddle, he was wearing one of those Venom heat therapy tech wraps. As it massages the back a little bit. He was wearing it for really the entirety of the Texas huddle, rips it off, then gets back out there. He wants to be out there, and for good reason, right? He helped Texas start to go on this run to bring it to back within single digits.
You know, if you turn those belts around, they kind of look like a wrestling heavyweight champion belt. And if he can pull this thing off and they can come back from 23 down, they would have earned it.
Yeah, his presence has really changed the game for Texas. Interesting matchup here. Pope on Davis. Pope not their best defender. See if he can rise up to the challenge here on Davis.
Davis gives it up. Shot clock at 5. Gets it back and knocked out of bounds by Shedrick. 4.4 left on the shot clock. See what Calipari has drawn up. Stanley Davis got held by Shedrick coming off the screen.
That's a tough break for Texas. It's the right call, but you've got a short clock, a chance to get another stop, try to keep cutting into this lead, and it's just a good hard cut by Davis. Gets held up by Shedrick.
See if they get the same play drawn up. No, it'll be Wagner receiving instead of pulling the trigger. That foul resets the shot clock to 20. 3.5 to play. Wagner behind Ivičić. Here's Knox. Ivičić's got a mouse in the house down there. Stanley Davis for 3. He rattles it home. And a scream after he has hit 4 threes in the second half. Lead back to double digits. Kaluma into the corner for Pope. Tip, no. Again, no. Shedrick, yes. Larry wanting Johnson to come up for a trap, and Texas just hasn't been able to figure out its full court pressure here in the last couple of minutes. Five on the shot clock. Stagnant offense. Now 2. Davis off the mark. And then a foul underneath on Billy Richmond. And that's the 5th on Richmond.
Well, on one end, you got Shedrick. He's so good with these offensive rebounds, just keeping the ball alive. It's activity, it's effort, it's heart, it's toughness. And then on the other end, Kaluma with a really nice contest.
And my bad, that was on Carter Knox. It's the 4th on Knox. And 2 coming for Shedrick, who's just 1 for 4 from the free throw line tonight. 4 years at the University of Virginia, and he's in his 6th year of college basketball. And he's really been a great weapon for him lately. Last 4 games shooting 71% from the floor. Nice touch.
To your point, Tom, they've got to show more urgency. If they can get this in, you've got to immediately get in that full court press and try to get a turnover on Arkansas in the backcourt.
Nope. And off of Kaluma. 2:25 to go. Home crowd thought it was off of Ivisic. Did the left hand get in and knock it out?
Yeah, I think so. It was really the backboard that caused a lot of that, and then Kaluma with the left hand. But full denials here. Expect a lot of switching where you can.
Here's Knox across midcourt. All alone, Thiero. Whoa! Hangs and throws down. He's got 14. Lead back to 10.
Thiero was just in the back there. Nobody identified him, and you had 5 Texas defenders really on 4 Razorbacks. Nobody saw the man deep. Everybody scrambling, trying to point a man out, and that's easy money for Thiero.
Talking with Kenny Payne, the Arkansas assistant, about Thiero finishing at the rim. And he said, you know, I told him, you think Kevin Durant just shows up on game day and says, I think I'm going to make shots tonight? You think Kobe just showed up and said, I think the ball's going to go in? No, we put in the work, and we work on the floor to make sure that when game time rolls around, we've perfected our craft. Another one coming for Trey Johnson. Kenny Payne made his name as an assistant at Kentucky, getting those bigs to be great finishers. 14 this half for Trey Johnson. Gets the deflection. Knox picks it up. And now Janelle Davis.
Yeah, that was the one right there. A loose ball. Good job just corralling that 50-50 ball by Arkansas.
Wagner gets turned around, and Kaluma secures the rebound. 8-point deficit, about a minute and a half to play. Trey Johnson picks it up. Here's Pope, Kaluma, Johnson. Trey Johnson going to work, and he slices his way through to pick up the foul, and he'll be going back to the free throw line.
Good patience by Texas, and they have really flipped the script in the second half in terms of getting themselves to the free throw line.
That's the 5th on Adou Thiero. And so Arkansas's got 60 seconds to get his sub into the game. Cal tries to steal a timeout here.
You're Coach Cal, you hate to see when your best closers and finishers come out of the game, but Texas really got out of this game in the first half by getting Arkansas to the free throw line. Here in the second half, it has been Texas 14 of 20 compared to just 3 of 4 for Arkansas.
Longhorns haven't shot the ball increasingly better in the second half. They've just taken advantage of their opportunities.
Yeah, I think they've taken care of the ball better. The defense has been more locked in, and they've just hung in there. And that's kind of what they do. You try to count them out and say, man, I don't know who this Texas team is. You scratch your head a little bit saying, gosh, I thought they were getting it rolling. And then all of a sudden they just keep finding ways to get themselves in the game. And a lot of teams would quit and fold. And if you recall, I think Texas had the toughest first 5-game schedule of anybody. They were 1-4 in those games. They had Auburn, Tennessee, at A&M, at Oklahoma, at Florida. And that was a situation where a new team with a star freshman, you see a lot of teams start to implode in those situations. And for Texas, all they did was rally.
Stands, the foul was on red, number 3.
They double checked that it was on Thiero, and he's done with his 5th personal. Texas actually shot the ball better in the first half, 36% versus 29% in the second half, but they've gotten to the free throw line. 12 more points at the free throw line this half, 14 of 20.
You look at Trey Johnson. Scorers just know how to get their points, right? 21 points. He's 5 of 20, not the most efficient, but you just imagine a couple of those go in, and you're looking at a 30-point night for the freshman.
That's what he had in the comeback against A&M, mostly in the second half. He's got 22 now. He broke KD's record for points in a freshman debut. Out in Vegas against Ohio State, 23 now, 6-point game. Closest it's been this half. They're able to set up the press. Richmond. We had the all sleeves team Monday night with North Texas. Richmond's all long sleeves team.
Yeah, you don't see that too often. Well, and the young freshman, he'll be on the court here as Texas likely will end up having to start fouling here pretty soon if they can't get a stop. And this game's probably going to have to be won at the free throw line for Arkansas. They've just got to take care of the ball. No live ball turnovers for transition opportunities for Texas. Make this last minute 12 ugly.
Second personal on Trey Johnson. Hogs by 6. Shedrick jumped out. Shot clock at 12. We approach 1 minute to play. Here's Carter Knox, and he's fouled on the drive. That's now the third on Trey Johnson. 2 in 10 seconds for the freshman.
Yeah, and we've seen a few times down the stretch where Texas has had Arkansas down to a low shot clock, and they foul at the end of it to reset the clock or send Arkansas to the line. And you just got to be disciplined. No need to foul there. Try to see if you can force Arkansas on a tough contested late shot clock.
Pardon me, the second on Johnson, and it puts Carter Knox at the free throw line. Has earned another. 1:02 to play. The lead 7. And he rattles the second one home.
You got multiple shooters. Of course, you want to try to get Trey Johnson a 3, even though his percentages haven't been great tonight. He's your best threat.
Shedrick with a hard screen. Hand off to Pope for 3. He can score in bunches, but it's the first bucket this half for Jordan Pope, and a quick timeout. Back down to a 5-point lead.
Well, and it's a great read on this because Texas flips sides of the court. As they go down, they're going to look for Johnson on one end. They don't get anything. Look at Shedrick set that ball screen. He's going to go all the way to the opposite end, get this, and watch this kind of dribble handoff. Flip, ball screen. He did it all in that possession, and Pope paid it off with a big-time 3. And he is just a natural-born shooter, is Pope. Beautiful stroke.
He's a 1,200-point scorer. They got some guys on this Texas team that can fill it up in a hurry. And Kaden Shedrick, to your point, the perfect complement. He's doing all the dirty work tonight. And he's doing it suffered through back spasms.
I'm curious to see if Texas changes up their press a little bit. They've been sort of a zone trapping press. Haven't been able to get the turnover they want. See if they go into sort of a full denial man-to-man look against Arkansas here.
Possession arrow favors Arkansas. It's the Razorbacks basketball, the baseline out of bounds after the made bucket. Last time Arkansas faced this, they brought another inbounder and they kept it out of bounds, and that solved the Texas press with the baseline pass.
Well, and if you're Arkansas, you have to close this game out, right? I mean, given the lead you had, if you don't close this one out, boy, does it take a lot of that momentum out.
And now Davis getting some tutoring from the great Tyler Eulis, who is a fantastic player for Calipari and the SEC Player of the Year at Kentucky. Five steals tonight for Texas. Arkansas has turned it over only 9 times, which is 2 fewer than its season per game average.
They did switch their press up. It is full man-to-man denials.
Paluma got away with a hole. Here's Davis and a quick whistle as Julian Larry picks up his 3rd.
It's a small thing, but a big thing. Davis came and met that pass with 2 hands, aggressive. If you've ever been to a Coach Calipari practice on rebounds and catches, all he yells the entire time is 2 hands, 2 hands. And Davis went and attacked that ball as Larry was trying to get that deflection.
So here's Johnell Davis, who's got 4 threes in this half. His shooting has really come along. He had hit 6 threes in each of the previous 2 games. Boogie Flan out with after thumb surgery. And Davis has 1 more coming his way. .23 for Johnell Davis, which is a season high. Drills them both.
And he's wanted the ball in his hands. We saw the big time step back 3 he hit, and he did not shy away knowing he was going to get fouled.
Julian Larry full head of steam into Ivisic, feeds Shedrick, and Ivisic gets whistled for the foul. That is his 4th.
I mean, Larry gets caught in the air, and he's just hoping somebody is in the paint. And Shedrick sprints from half court. Look where Shedrick's not even in your screen. And then he comes out of nowhere after trailing the play. And it's just trying to extend this game as Texas continues to get themselves to the free throw line.
That looked clean, didn't it?
Yep.
2 shots for Shedrick, with Texas getting it done at the free throw line in the second half to make it a close game. Four for 8 from the free throw line. Arkansas has allowed Texas to the line 24 times in the second half. Ivisic takes the inbound, and Trey Johnson with a quick foul. Vladimir Ivisic, a 65% free throw shooter. This will be his first free throw attempt of the game, with the Hogs trying to cling to a 5-point lead.
If you're Arkansas, Tom, of course, make your free throws. Make or miss, though, they've got to find a way to just get a stop. Defend without fouling on the other end of the court.
Ivisic has it roll off. 39 to play. Johnson fumbles it away, and Nelly Davis will pick it up. And the Razorbacks trying to milk it, and a missed opportunity for Texas.
In transition, you get the ball to your freshman Johnson. It's a low pass, but certainly one that he would normally catch. But he's just trying to attack. He's frustrated with himself. He's trying to catch this thing on the go right here to get past Ivisic, and just bobbles it. It had been a while since Arkansas got a traditional stop, but found a way.
Another one coming for DJ Wagner, who's been on the floor for 36 minutes tonight. -19-minute second half for Wagner. He played all 20 the second half at Kentucky. This opportunity for Texas. Tremont Mark not a single point tonight. He averaged 10 coming in. .30 seconds to play. 7-point deficit. Here's Larry. Larry takes it all the way, and that one's spiked by Richmond. And then a foul in the backcourt. Arkansas came in 8th in the country, blocking 16% of their opponent's twos. This is the 7th block of the night.
Oh, that's how you get it done without fouling. Just get up higher with more athleticism and length. And Richmond really sealing the game there with that block. And assuming Arkansas can close this thing out. What a difference a few days makes. I mean, this was a team somewhat left for dead in the SEC, and then despite still having a decent resume and a fighter's chance at the tournament, it's more about confidence and swagger and identity, and this Arkansas team seems to have it almost overnight.
They're going to have back-to-back road wins as a team that came into this action outside of the bubble, probably on the bubble, but outside of the tournament, according to Joe Lunardi. And let's face it, as tough as the SEC is this year, 7-11 with the right 7 wins will get you in. Johnson banks it in, but they could be a much better finish than just 7-11 for Arkansas if they can keep this up. Timeout taken by the Razorbacks.
And I can't, not only the emotional win on the road at Kentucky, but aside from that, I mean, there's nothing like road wins that bring a team together and bond. Home wins are great, and it's cool if you can get a court storming and all that stuff, but I'm just telling you, when you're getting on that team bus and that team plane and you feel like it's been you against the world and you come away on top, that's what makes a team become closer, and that chemistry continue to grow exponentially.
Nelly Davis with 24 points. Trey Johnson with a big second half with 25 in a game that Arkansas led by 23. They're going to get major points from the computers for this win tonight. Ken Pom had them losing this game by 8. Still, home games against Bama and LSU, back-to-back road games at A&M, and then on Wednesday, February 19th, they'll go to Auburn. Richmond's got the baseline. Shot clock is off. And Richmond finds Brazile somehow. Brazile fouled by Jordan Pope. What does this mean for Texas, and what do we take away from this one?
Well, I think they've got to find a way to play a complete 40 minutes. And they came off one of their better, more convincing wins at LSU. And a Texas team that's still playing, prior to this game, some of the best basketball of their season. But Coach Terry's got to tell his guys, look, we can't always just be coming from behind. I mean, we dug ourselves a hole in the first half, and they had some injuries. I thought Shedrick being out really hurt. But it doesn't get any easier from here. Just look at that schedule. But to me, one of the concerning things for Texas is, as a coach, you want to know what you're going to get from players night in, night out. And I'm not sure that Rodney Terry knows, because it seems like a different 5 is the best 5 on a different night. And you've got some versatility there, but you also have a lot of unknown.
Larry lays it in. He's into double figures. Richmond be fouled. Texas not giving up just yet. 6-point lead with 8.9 to play. Be a big one Saturday night at Bud Walton Arena. Nate Oates' Alabama team had a midweek bye. It's 8:30 Eastern on Saturday night, and then LSU coming to town for a midweek. They go to Reed Arena, they go to the Jungle, and they get Missouri.
Well, we can look ahead, but they can't.
That's right.
You won't get any sleep.
Well, Billy Richmond III.
Well, and of course, Arkansas handled their business. They had, what, a 23-point lead. But as this thing got within 2 possessions, it was just critical for them to close this out, because, again, if you blow a 23-point lead on the road, all of a sudden all the goodwill that you established on the road at Kentucky, it goes away.
Johnson blows the layup. That kind of night for Texas. They outscore Arkansas in the second half by 3, but it's not enough. John Calipari's squad goes to 3-6 in the league. Texas drops to 4-6 in the SEC. It's an 8-point road win for Arkansas after a 10-point road win at Rupp Arena. Our final score, Razorbacks 78, Longhorns 70. For Dane Bradshaw, Alyssa Lang, our entire crew, I'm Tom Hart. It's time for SportsCenter.